Welcome to DMV Spotlight here in the nation's capital, where we shine a light on the issues impacting Maryland, D.C., and Virginia. I'm Barbara Britt. You have seen it many times, perhaps while you were stuck in traffic on 95 in Virginia. It is the soaring National Museum of the Marine Corps. You may not know that behind that magnificent structure is the support of the Marine Corps Heritage Foundation. My guest today is United States Marine Corps General James Lukeman, now the president and CEO of the Marine Corps Heritage Foundation, that following 40 years of continuous active service to our country. Thank you, General Lukeman, for your service and for joining me today on DMV Spotlight.
Thanks for having me, Barbara. It's great to be here.
Well, I wanted to ask you, first of all, we have spoken in the past about the amazing museum, and we will get into that more as well. But people have seen it 1,000 times as they're stuck in traffic or maybe flying by, doing the speed limit, of course, on 95 and the Marine Corps Museum. But really, the foundation for that museum is the Marine Corps Heritage Foundation. Tell us about the foundation and what its mission is.
Well, the Marine Corps Heritage Foundation's been around since 1979, but it really changed a bit in about 1998. We changed our charter because we had the idea to build a national museum of the Marine Corps, and that's what you see now, the product of that when you're going down 95. So the foundation's been here for a while. Our mission is to preserve and share the history, tradition, and culture of the United States Marine Corps and educate all Americans in what's best about the Marine Corps. So that's our mission. That led us to raise the money and design and build the National Museum, which is just outside of Quantico off of 95.
And there are so many things at the museum, General Lukeman, and it's you only see a very small part of it when you're looking at it from 95. It's really a large structure. So sort of walk us through the museum, if you will.
Yeah, so the museum showcases 247 years of the Marine Corps story. We like to say that it's American history as seen through the eyes of Marines. So it'll take you from 1775, when the Marine Corps was founded, all the way up until today, but also has galleries for what it takes to become a Marine, the transformations. It talks about boot camp and officer candidate school. We have an art gallery inside the museum. But probably the thing I like most about our museum is that the galleries are really interactive and put you in the experience of being with the Marines.
That sounds a little scary to me, but that may just be me. But I'm sure it's amazing. So are there all ages that you encourage to come to the museum?
Absolutely. The museum is perfect for all ages. So we've got the museum itself is terrific. I say it's a world-class museum. The displays are world-class, on the par with Smithsonian or any other world-class museum. But in addition to the galleries where you can see Marine Corps history, there are so many things to do here in the museum. There's 2 restaurants, there's 2 theaters inside the museum, there's a park outside the museum, which is beautiful to walk through with a mile of trails. There's a playground outside the museum, so you can come spend the day here inside and out. If it's a rainy day, you're in the museum. If it's a beautiful day, you can be outside, and there's something for all ages here in the museum.
And so talk to me about, you have told me in the past that there is no cost to go into the museum. How is that so?
Yeah, so the museum is free to the public every day, 364 days a year. The only day we're closed is Christmas Day. It's open 9 to 5 every other day. Parking's free, admission's free. The reason that can be is because it is a public-private partnership. We, the foundation, work very closely with the Marine Corps, who also supports this museum. So the museum is supported by both the Marine Corps and the foundation. That allows us to be free admission every day for everybody.
And that is so very important. So talk to us about some of these traditions and the culture of the Marine Corps. I'm sure people who are in the Marine Corps or even in other branches of the military may be a little bit familiar, but for those of us who clearly are not, like myself, talk to us about it. What is it like?
Well, first of all, it starts with the transition and what it takes to become a Marine. As Marines understand, we're a little fanatical about our history and where we've been. So everything from the term devil dog or leatherneck and where that comes from, Marines know that, and you'll see that here in the museum, to where we became famous in the Battle of Belleau Wood for stopping the Germans in World War I, or whether overcoming insurmountable odds to take Iwo Jima and the flag raising on Mount Suribachi, which gave hope to a nation in World War II, or defeating 8 Chinese divisions as they come out of the Chosin Reservoir in Korea. So what Marines have today, the legacy that Marines enjoy today and continue today, is showcased here in the museum. It's our history, and that's what makes Marines different.
Do you get a lot of Marine Corps veterans who come through the museum?
Always. And a lot of times for Marine Corps veterans coming in here, they may not have talked about their experience in Vietnam or Korea or even World War II with their families before this, but as they come through the museum with their families, all of a sudden they start talking about it. And for many times it's the first time that they have had that discussion about what they did in the war with their family. So it's a terrific place for that. And it's a place where all Marines feel comfortable to come together. It's a home for Marines. It's a place where we like to gather.
And how did you come to be part of the Marine Corps Heritage Foundation? When we were talking at the beginning, I mentioned that you have 40 years of continuous active service prior to becoming the president and CEO of the Marine Corps Heritage Foundation. So what was your tie to get you over to the foundation? How did that happen?
Well, I was lucky, Barbara, to be a part of this foundation. I like to joke that I belong in a museum because my father was a Marine, so I was raised in the Marine Corps, and then I spent 40 years, as you said, on active duty. And when I retired 2 years ago, I wasn't sure what I was going to do. But a friend called me up and said, they're looking for somebody that might want to lead the Marine Corps Heritage Foundation. Are you interested? And it took me about a second to say yes. That would be terrific. So it's been a great experience for me to be able to continue to support the Marine Corps from the outside.
And then for people really like myself who are not familiar with military history in terms of the Marine Corps specifically, how do you get a lot of people who are not familiar with the Marine Corps?
Yes. So again, the museum is good for everybody. It's good for Marines. If you're here, you'll see your service honored. If you're not a Marine and you come here, you will learn about the Marine Corps. This is where some of the movies and the other displays do a terrific job of really educating, telling the story in a way that people can understand. I tell people that if you're not a Marine, after you've come through the museum, you'll understand why we are the way we are.
It's so exciting, so amazing. And you mentioned that it was a public-private partnership. So obviously some of the foundation's work has got to be philanthropic.
Absolutely. It is donors who support our work. It's donors who built this museum. So tremendous support from the public, Marines and others, to build and continue to support this museum. And we do that today. So again, yes, it's a combination of Marine Corps support and private support through our foundation that allows this museum to be as great as it is.
Why is it so important to have this museum?
The preservation of the Marine Corps story and really being able to share it with others is truly important, both to Marines and both to the public. The Marine Corps legacy is to defend this nation and ensure that our way of life continues to be where it is. That's what you'll see here. So people coming through here will not just learn about the Marine Corps, but they'll learn about American history and the role that the Marines have played in that. One of our key missions is education here in the museum, and both for school-age children or also adults, the museum is a terrific educational tool. And we get a lot of student groups that come through the museum, and also we take the museum to schools in the area as well and teach there.
That's fantastic. How does that work?
We have 2 teachers in residence that the foundation pays for. The counties of Prince William and Stafford County, which are the counties that board of the museum, have been terrific about providing us a teacher. We pay their salary and benefits, and then the teachers come work here in the museum full time. And then there's an education department but on the Marine Corps side as well, some civilian employees of the Marine that work on education. We have a distance learning studio where we can do distance learning from here, or we can actually go into the classrooms in Prince William and Stafford County and teach there.
And in the years that you have been involved with the National Museum of the Marine Corps, have you ever witnessed people coming through the museum and had a memory that has stuck out to you as you've watched others walk through the history of the Marine Corps in the museum?
What's really striking to me, we will have reunions of groups here in the museum. So we have had reunions of people who served on Iwo Jima in World War II. And so these men are in their 90s when they come through here. Recently, we had a similar reunion of people who served in the Korean War here in the museum. And to see the public interact with these veterans really is heartwarming and really makes you proud to be an American.
I just want to thank you so much. So well said. And there's so much history there. As you mentioned, through the eyes of the Marine Corps. It is the National Museum of the Marine Corps. And my guest today that I've been speaking with is United States Marine Corps General James Lukeman, who is now the president and CEO of the Marine Corps Heritage Foundation. And I just want to thank you so much for joining me today on DMV Spotlight.
Barbara, thank you. And if I could add one thing, you don't need to go on the base to get to the museum. There is no security checkpoint. You just come right off the highway into the museum, and it's easy to get in and out.
That's so important to know. I so appreciate that. What's the website if people want more information?
Marineheritage.org is our website. So marineheritage, one word, .org is the website. You can find all the information there.
Thank you so much for joining me today on DMV Spotlight. I'm Barbara Britt, and join us again next week at this same time for DMV Spotlight.